All right. Let's do it.
Hello, hello, everybody. We're back with the relationship cycle with Jorge and Nelsa. Poppy, we got a real good one tonight.
Sounds like it.
Cup,
I'm here for it.
cupping season, cupping season. First of all, I guess people need to know what that means for anybody who's maybe over 40 listening. You may not know what cupping season is. So, um, it's getting cold. The fall is upon us. Great football weather. And you don't have anybody, but you want somebody to stay warm with through the winter months. And usually your grand finale is right before Valentine's Day because that looks too much like a relationship that's going somewhere. So the breakup is typically February 13th, maybe President's Day. Uh, but no Valentine's celebration, people. So on cupping season, um, have you done it, Poppy? That's the question. Have
I
you
I
done it?
definitely
And what purpose does it serve?
I will say this. I did a little digging on this, and it does seem like this time of year, a lot of people seem to find a little boo thing, even if it
Hmm.
is for the October through February months. And there's a lot of science and studies that supports this theory that it is definitely a thing. And like you mentioned, it runs from October to February.
Hmm.
And I did a little digging, and there is some factual evidence that support this. For example, around the wintertime, a lot of people get more sick. Um,
Hmm.
and a lot of people stay indoors more because it is, fall and winter.
Right.
And there's also studies that say that there's a lot more cuddling that people covet and desire around this time of
Hmm.
year.
It's just like comfort food. You want soup, stews, and cuddles in the winter.
And I will say that I mean, obviously I've had, little romances around this time of year, but it wasn't because it was cuffing season. It just kind of manifested on its own accord, if that makes any sense.
Look, maybe a part of the human evolutionary work. I always say this time of year. I was born in April, and I am ready to hibernate. And so, a lot of animals go underground, go to sleep. Well, here lately, global warming has us. Look, the animals are all out crazy. Don't know what season it is, but it feels sometimes like it's that time to settle in. Um, we say in the spring, the sap's rising. So you want to get out the house, you want to get out there and see what's new, what's popping, out in the streets, I suppose, dating. But in the fall and winter, it's the exact opposite. You want to have somebody to cuddle up with, you don't want to go out there looking for anybody in the cold club. You sweating it out, and next thing you know, you're freezing, trying to get back in the car, getting home. But having somebody who is a presence in your life during that time. And I will say I have been a part of cuffing season. I'm not going to tell a lie on this podcast. We keep it all the way real. Um, and sometimes I don't even know that it was something that I knew I was doing, like consciously. But during this time of the year, I really hated going out. Like I did not like going to clubs this time of year. I didn't want to go like dating multiple people. Like I just wanted my, you know, person or situationship to, you know,
So you
get
just
me to
wanted
the spring. Just get me to the spring,
you wanted you wanted a main squeeze that you can count on.
That part. But that's the difference, I think, with cuffing season. Like it's not just anybody, and it's not somebody who necessarily is going to get attached forever after the winter months. But you both kind of have an understanding, like we're going to settle in together until spring comes, and then we'll see what happens then. So
No, I
I,
agree.
I
There's
have done it. I have done it. Yes.
no, and like I mentioned, obviously I've done it as well, although it was not with the sole intention of, hey, it's cuffing season, so let me get this done. I will
Mhm.
say,
Not so
uh,
deliberate, right?
no, not deliberately, no. I will say though that in the fall and especially the winter, I definitely get in touch more with my introverted self because, like you mentioned, yeah, when
Hmm.
sometimes it's so cold that I'm like, man. getting ready, getting fly, and then stepping out into all
Mm-mm,
that cold. Like, yeah,
mm-mm.
and
I'm
then
all
when
about
you're
the
like,
tropical climate. Yes, no
no, yeah, I
good.
mean, it's definitely a debate to step out and flex constantly when it's, 30 degrees. So I feel you on that. And I feel like I do enjoy more introverted activities. And of course, another reason that cuffing season is a thing is because of the holidays. There's a lot of
Exactly.
events, a lot of holidays, a lot of, Christmas
You need a
parties.
plus one. Exactly.
Agreed. Like you like to have that, that one person that can kind of, come with you, flex with you, and kind of watch your back and, make sure that, you get home safe and tucks you into bed.
Right, exactly. You don't have to go back. You don't have to go back alone. Honestly, I've been to some family functions when I was just, purely single, and it was rough. It's like everybody had somebody, and you look like the single one that like you just always got your girlfriend as a plus one. It was just tough. It was tough at once. Then sometimes it wasn't honestly because I was just like, that's where I was. I was enjoying myself, and some of them looked miserable, but having that one person that, does step into that role for you, sometimes it is a comfort role. Like, to be cuffed up, I always think about spooning when I think of that term, cuffing season. Like, there is something so therapeutic about human touch. They say that, babies who are held, typically have higher IQs. They're more socially, responsible. Like, they get along with other people better. They have more, better social skills. Um, Human touch is healing, even. Like, your mom, you know, hugs you after you have a boo boo when you're little. Um, but there's so many positives around human touch. And to be spooned by somebody, it's like one of the things when I was purely single, back in the day, where I wasn't even like looking for a substitute boo thing or nothing like that. I just miss spooning sometimes. Like, just the human contact was one of the things that I truly, truly missed. And I'm just like, you know, that's one of those things that I don't know. It feels a part of our humanity,
It
to be
does, and I
touched by
think it makes a
someone.
difference because I think I've mentioned in other discussions and podcast episodes that we've talked about that to me, if you make me choose my favorite time of year to enjoy my single status, right, is the spring and summer because there's a lot happening, traveling,
Mm-hmm.
barbecues, pool time, checking out, new restaurants or, whatever. Like there's a lot to do. While I feel like we mentioned, right, the fall and winter is more of staying indoors or and getting in touch with your introverted side or with your little situationship boo thing or whatnot. And
Right.
it's funny because when I was doing some of this research on this particular phenomenon of cuffing season, it's not a mainstream um, slogan, but it's definitely a thing, and it is recognized by a lot of people, even though
Mm-hmm.
it's not an actual phrase that is recognized in a dictionary or whatnot. But
No, it's just
I
the Urban Dictionary. It's in the Urban
I
Dictionary.
mean,
That's where I found it.
there's a lot of stuff in that dictionary.
Absolutely.
Listen, even
Absolutely.
regular words mean all kind of different things in that dictionary. So
Mm,
tread lightly in there, people. But um,
absolutely.
I also noticed too that a lot of people tend to sign up for dating apps, and I think a portion of this is also part of the New Year's resolution thing that some people get into, where the beginning of the year they want to kind of set some
Mm-hmm.
goals, maybe try to be more focused on dating and finding their person and whatnot. So the studies do show that during the cuffing season there is a big uptick as far as with dating app usage for people.
Well, and like you said, it's like that trying to find that one person who can check a few boxes. Maybe not all, but enough to get you to spring, just enough to get me to spring. Not only you don't have to do all 10, but if you can make 6, we might can make it. So Honestly, I wasn't really like a cold-blooded dater. But to say like, I just, um, any, anybody would do, or you got to have such high standards to be with me or anything like that. There's some people that are just, dating machines, if you will. Like they got systems, they've got outfits, they got the whole nine. It's very, very organic, with dating. And so, I feel like that's the one place though that I always craved during this time of the year. And I don't know what it was. It's like, and I'm cold natured, and maybe that was it. I needed, I needed my own human rug. I don't know.
Human run.
But it's just somebody just to wrap around me, keep my toes warm, and, uh,
And maybe make
you
your toes
know,
curl.
and maybe make my toes curl. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. During
Hey,
that
I'm
time in
here
my
for
life,
it. Hey, I get it,
in
man.
my
This time
time,
of
in that
year,
time of my life now, I'm not
th-
gonna tell a lie.
this time of
But
year, man, it's a beautiful time to be indoors for many reasons.
right, right. But you know what? Now it's like it's so in and out with dating. It's so in and out. It's just like, what are we gonna do with somebody? When it's like we go on one date and we're done. There's not even like, to me, cuffing season is not so much of a situationship kind of thing. It's like you really do connect with the person. You might even be friends with the person, but you both know that when springtime comes, you're both kind of players. You might still want to go out to the house and play. So it may not be as long term as you might think it would be, but you know what you're kind of getting into. Like, this is gonna be a 6 month relationship. We're gonna enjoy it while it lasts, and then we'll go on from there.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you something. So, I think you alluded right that you have been mindful about it. So does the person know coming in? Like, do you tell them up front, or do you have a discussion that, hey, I know we're not compatible in certain areas, but I like spending time with you, and this time of year I really like to just kind of have somebody that I can count on. Like, do you have those conversations, or is it something that just kind of you just kind of let it flow and see what comes about?
um, Honestly, I feel like a few times I've done it.
Like they knew, like the man knew that, hey, this is more of a stopgap. We're gonna make the best of these
Right.
holidays, kind of thing. Like they also knew that, hey, this is probably not gonna go
Yeah.
long term. But
Well, I think it was more like a, let's just take one day at a time. you know,
is that
like,
how that goes?
I won't tell you any lies if you don't make me any promises you can't keep. So it was more like, let's just flow. It was very organic, very one day at a time ish. Uh, let's do it as long as we're both comfortable. And then when this doesn't work for us, we're both good to go our own ways. Again, like a real friendship slash relationship slash situationship. I guess it was a hodgepodge of hips.
Hey, but like we say, right? As long as everybody's on the same page, as long as people are forthcoming and upfront with their intentions, then all good. Now, I want to add another element to this. So I will say, right, me being a 39-year-old man, and obviously being close to family, this time of year, particularly from my mom, my other family members, maybe my cousin sometimes, she'll give me a hard time, but they'll ask, like, when are you going to get married and when are you going to start making kids? And I get that all the time, mainly from, a few family members. And I just tell them, you'll know when I find the one. And when I find the
Right,
one, then you guys are going to be meeting her.
right.
But
But
yeah,
one
those
day at a
conver
time, right?
I wonder if that plays a role in all this. And that could actually, maybe even make things a little awkward, right? Because if it's understood that it's more of a seasonal
hmm
situation thing, and then you bring this person right to a family gathering, or maybe you bring them around friends or whatnot, and they, maybe people start suggesting or indirectly acknowledging that, hey, maybe there's more to this, or you guys kind of get more serious, that kind of thing. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes. Look. Yes,
And it gets awkward,
absolutely, it
right?
is.
It gets awkward,
Um,
awkward as fuck.
yes, especially when it's somebody that I know. I knew that this was not the one, but this was you know, a good right now.
A good right
Um,
now.
good right now,
A good
good
right now.
good for a spell, like my grandma used to say. We could sit a spell. But to to have it morph into something more, I have had that to happen as well. And that can be a very pleasant surprise, which is again, I think, a part of our evolutionary um process as human beings. Like, we do want love, we do want acceptance, we do want support. We want those things from you know, we want a mate. Like, primally, we do want a mate. Sometimes primally, we maybe want more than one mate, but to mate and have a connection and community with somebody is a part of our nature. And so I think cuffing season turns us to that because it does, we slow down. The days get shorter. It's colder. Like, it's the perfect brew for, you know, mating season, which is, a lot of times, the spring is what we think about in terms of just like being out there and seeing who the best choice for the season is. If anybody watches Bridgerton, I love Bridgerton. Shonda Rhimes, if you need somebody to be a part of that in some small way, I'm more than happy to. But like, they used to have like a season for courting where you would look out at all the choices on the marriage mart, from like uh, maybe March to June, July. You know, spring to summer was your let's go find a husband season. Let's go find a wife. And so when you get to the fall, that's where everybody has settled in with their person, or you're still kind of like at the house with everybody, waiting until the season begins again for you to get out there and see if you can find somebody. And so again, the way they say these sites, the uptick at the dating sites goes up. I feel like people do kind of start back at ground zero. Let me regroup. Start working on my body, work on my mental health, do all those things. Which September is Suicide Prevention Month. I know that's not what this is about, but I think those solitary months and the darkness, how they say people in Alaska and other places where the days are short have to get sun lamps because it affects our psychology.
Oh,
And I think when
absolutely.
we have somebody, that keeps us from going into that, sort of mood uh disorder time. That's that seasonal affective disorder stuff that goes on. I'm not just saying people are doing it for that reason, but I think at a primal level, we are seeking comfort during this time of the year.
Oh, no doubt, absolutely. And I think that there is a lot of merit to this, whether people do it intentionally or unintentionally. There's definitely something to this. Another thing that I noticed from doing a little digging on this topic was that even studies on Facebook or statistics on Facebook show that around the cuffing season months, there is more there's more traffic and more movement as far as people's relationship status as well around those months. So
Mm.
there's definitely something to it, and the numbers suggest that it is a time where people kind of want to hang on to a person or persons
Yeah.
and spend some of that quality time. And agreed, right? Because you can use the spring and summer to kind of, play the field, meet people, put yourself out there. And then once you kind of find like, hey, I have a good chemistry or good vibe with said individual, then obviously you can kind of feel comfortable to, be in solitude with that person or in your personal space. And,
Hmm.
it feels comfortable, or even, bringing them around friends. Like, I definitely have done that where if I feel that the woman and myself have good chemistry and a good understanding, and she's a pretty wholesome person, then hey, I don't inviting her to an event, more so with friends, not so much family, just because I already explained that my family around this time of year, this is usually when they poke me about, hey, when these kids come in, and I'm like, You got to wait because it's a
Listen,
big deal.
it is a big deal. And in one of the articles that I found, the Newport Institute online, newportinstitute.com, they talk about, what cuffing season is and is it good or bad for you. And they say a lot of reasons young adults engage in seasonal relationships and older ones, like myself, have done in the past, are multifaceted. But one is that it is about the colder weather, the reduction in daylight, and people want to stay inside. So they start searching for someone to relieve loneliness and depression. Um, Another reason is because people feel societal pressure, like you said about your family, like when you're going to have a kid, when you're going to get married, when you're going to do all these things. And it talks about don't fall into the comparison trap. Like just because your friends and family may have partners doesn't mean that you have to feel inadequate because you don't. They say another one is that people are at risk of regressing when they're home for the holidays. So having an intimate partner by their side helps them feel more secure and allows them to avoid invasive questions about why they're single. For some, a seasonal partner, it says, can function as a way to manage holiday stress. So the question comes, is it good for mental health? But it can be, they say, both good and bad based on, guess what? Our favorite C word, communication.
Oh man, I love that word. That is the word of
Yes.
this podcast.
It is. It is our theme word, I think. But it says like how upfront. Like you asked me, like, did the person know going in? Yeah, because I'm just that person. Like I really feel like I should just tell you up front. I'm not gonna try to come behind your back and be devious about what I'm doing. It just makes it easier if things don't work out. I told you. I mean, you signed up for it, right? Um, but especially knowing what your needs and intentions are and knowing how well you respect each other's boundaries. Like if this is something we're going to do for just 6 months and then, reevaluate, because it may be a
You over there sounding like a
evaluate period.
supervisor.
I know, right? It does, doesn't it? I have
We're
been
gonna
one in
sit
my
down and
former
talk
life.
about that raise and that raise that you might be giving me in about
I
six
think we might
months.
want to keep you on after this probationary period.
Another thing that I saw that was interesting, they said that this around that time of year, people watch more like romantic
Mm,
movies and like those, rom-com, those romantic comedy movies. And it makes sense, right? Because you're going to be indoors more, but also, if it's cuffing season, because me personally, I don't watch those kind of movies unless a woman's like, "Hey, I want to see this. Is it okay?" And I'm like,
mhm.
"All right, cool." I may fall asleep on
Hallmark
you,
is
but
getting
that's
them
cool. Oh,
loaded up
Hallmark.
with
Oh, that's guaranteed. That is guaranteed naps. I am definitely falling asleep if you try to
the
subject me
Christmas
through a Hallmark
movies.
movie. That's nap time. But hey,
But
it's all good.
Hallmark, if you need me for any other, productions, I'm available if any of you are listening to this podcast. Thank you, Shonda and Hallmark. I love it. But a lot of women, that's what we're doing around the holiday time. So it gets you kind of itching for like, I want my person. I want my person. I won't lie. I've succumbed to the seduction of the Hallmark romance.
But I do think, right, like I know it's it's a interesting topic, and it's a phenomenon that some people aren't aware of, but I do think that if it's a good person that you're surrounding you with, and
Mm-hmm.
if you feel that you're already having a dealing with issues with mental health, and let's not kid ourselves, right, like you mentioned, the fall and winter, some people can really struggle with their mental health
Hmm.
and depression,
Yes.
because, like we stated, right, they're more indoors, people are a little bit more isolated. There's
Mm-hmm.
not as much to do outside as it is during the spring and summer. So I do think that it can definitely have a benefit to have somebody around that just, that you just enjoy having around, whether it be to watch a movie, to
Right.
cuddle, or Netflix and chill. Because hey, let's not kid ourselves. Sex is actually, there's studies out there that support that sex actually helps to keep you healthy. Like it helps your immune system. People that have
Mm-hmm.
an active sex life, they are more prone to have a strong immune system. So there's that.
Absolutely. There is research to support it. Look, our
Oh, no
research
doubt. Listen,
department
I've done it. I've
has found
researched
that.
it. That hey, if you have more, obviously, if you're doing it responsibly, because if you're having sex
Yes,
irresponsibly, then obviously that's counteractive,
absolutely.
and then that could open up another can of worms. But
Yes.
To kind of, continue with the conversation, there are positives to it. But as we always say, right, it is important to set expectations, to kind of lay out, what you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to get out of this. So that way it doesn't feel like you're misleading or even, trying to use hidden motives and behold this or hold out on this person, because one person could be thinking that, hey, this maybe is leading to something serious, while the other person's like, no, this is more of a just, we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
we're not here for a long time, but I'm here for a good
We're here
time.
for a good time. Exactly. Exactly. You got to communicate, people. You have to communicate and be clear. Like the other person, you got to receive it or don't sign up. You know, I think that at the end of any season, it's just like football. Like, don't sign the contract if you don't want to play for the Cowboys. I'm
No,
just
I agree.
saying, you know?
I agree. As long as it's transparent, as long
Yes.
as people are on the same page that, hey, maybe
Right.
this could grow to something more, or maybe this is just, a seasonal thing, then
Yeah.
all
And
good
just
as
like the
long as.
Cowboys, you know you're not going to the Super Bowl, but if you're signing up with us, we're going to show you a good time during the regular season. But just don't look
listen,
for this to be a permanent thing.
listen, we're gonna enjoy each other's companies. We are gonna be cuddling up, and we're gonna be drinking hot cocoa. But once January comes, then
Hey,
obviously we know that, hey, it's time to
time's winding
reevaluate.
up. Time's winding up.
Time to clear out the locker room.
Hey, I'm sorry, Dax. Go on and start looking for that new contract.
And
'Cause
listen, I hate the Cowboys, so
oh, me too. I'm
I
sorry.
am not
Our
mad at
Cowboy
that
fans, I'm
analogy.
sorry. A little fun with you.
Right, but I can't talk too much. I'm a Panthers guy, so there's
I
that.
know. Bless us. Bless us. Look, can we get in the dating game, Panthers? Golly.
Listen,
There's too
next
many
year's our year.
situationships. I know it. We got to get out of these situationships.
But it is,
Oh.
like we said, just to kind of put a bow on the conversation, good people.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely be upfront with your intentions, and if you
Hmm.
feel that this is just something short term, but you feel that the other person is misinterpreting or misconstruing what it is, that's also a dangerous scenario that could definitely
Yeah.
get messy
That
if
far.
if you
Hmm.
got two people that are reading into this the wrong way. So I think that's why it's
Hmm.
ultra important to really, really lay out where you stand. And at the end of the day, right, even with you sharing and being upfront with your intentions, the heart goes where it wants.
That's
Um,
true.
and so
Hmm.
it can be so, and I know, and I've seen this with women where when a woman kind of feels that some of these sensations or feelings are starting to grow or manifest very strongly, some women know themselves so well that they start to pull back or fall back
Hmm.
because they don't want to get too hung up or too emotionally invested in you when they know
Hmm.
that they can't have you like they want to have you.
That part right there. Or some people can turn into fatal attractions. So you really got to be careful playing with people's hearts when you see that things are changing. Like I say, you got to always update your software. You got to always check in and just, check the temperature of the room. Like read the room. And sometimes, people are thinking about what it is they want or need and don't always think about what the other person is feeling or thinking as time goes on. So, some people play romantic games very well, but then they don't want the long term permanence of it. They just want the game of it.
Let me ask you something. So when you have had your seasonal booze, do you buy them Christmas gifts?
No, absolutely not.
No way.
Absolutely not. No.
So
You
you are
know,
not you are not in the you are not in the giving spirit when it comes to that.
no, 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 no. Absolutely not. Because like that's not what we're signing up for. Now, maybe a card, you know, have Merry Christmas, enjoy the blessings of the new year. But no, 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 no. I've been burned that way before where I kind of caught feelings in a situationship. And it just, I do really have to mind my boundaries, if I'm in that kind of situation. I'm not right now, and that's a beautiful thing. Don't plan to be back in it if I can help it. But when I have, Absolutely not. Mm-mm. No, sir. Because they
No,
know.
and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer with that, because I think it can vary depending on,
Yeah.
you know, how mature, depending on what kind of conversations have been had initially. But again, right, it goes back to that whole, you know, where somebody could easily be misled
Right.
if things aren't really you know, laid on the table to make a clear situation, to clear up the
Yeah.
situation as far as what this
Mhm.
is for short term and long term potential.
Now, I'm a giver. And so, during the course of any kind of relationship with somebody that I, have real genuine care and affection for, I have been a giver, cook dinner, um, you know, I might pay for a date. We talked about this in the past shows, but Christmas gifts, though, sometimes have too much emotion tied up with them. And so, I don't try to um get that far unless this is like, again, if this was somebody who was a friend and we just kind of agreed, let's hang out like this for a bit, that's one thing. But for somebody that, like, that was the whole point, no,
No,
no.
and
I,
I
I
think,
try to keep clear boundaries.
yeah, and I think that's a pretty good point to bring out, right? That if you have rapport and you have that kind of understanding with that individual, then I think it makes it a lot easier to give someone a gift,
Hmm.
and they understand that, hey, I'm doing it out of care, out of respect, out of love, and, you know, just because, hey, I'm in the holiday spirit. But they don't you know, take it and run and assume that, oh man, you know, this is really, you know, getting heated, or this is becoming more than what we originally thought. So I think that does play a role compared to someone that you just kind of recently met, and, you know, you're just kind
Hmm.
of enjoying the company.
Absolutely. But this has been a great topic, and thank you for everyone who's continuously supporting us and uh, following through with, following us on YouTube, even in those other conversations that we have on Facebook. So thank you so much, everybody, for your continued support of our show.
And as always, good people, before we wrap up, follow us on our YouTube channel, The Relationship Cycle with Jorge and Nelsa. Please share our podcast channel with any friend, anyone that you think could find our shows useful. Like us, comment, and thank you so much for your support, your comments. And as always, stay tuned for more podcast content.
Until next time.
Buenas noches, good people.